Deep in the heart of Texas, someone is subjected to the most inhumane torture known to man. The torture of working with creeps, weaklings, and the elderly. Hi, I'm Sackhead Ed. I use my 30 years of experience in the murder industry to break down your favourite killers. Today we'll be looking at the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. We meet our soon-to-be lunchmate, 4 hippies, Sally, Jerry, Kirk, and Pam, and the only armed member of the group, Franklin. So yeah, they're pretty fucked.
HitchHiker?
Should we pick him up?
They do. Enter Nubbins Sawyer, also known as the HitchHiker. A slim, erratic psychopath who, if born years later, would probably run a successful Etsy shop. The HitchHiker is here to scout out the group, a tactic I personally love. Hail a ride from a group of people no one will miss, then lead them into a Texas Chainsaw Massacre. There's only 2 problems. Nubbins has the hygiene of a road-killed armadillo and the charisma of a torn scrotum. After making everyone feel awkward, he finally pops the question.
You could take me to my house. I live right off this road.
They obviously decline, scuppering plan A.
I have this knife. It's a good knife.
It's really not. Bowie knives, kitchen knives, machetes, they're good knives. This is a shaver, better known as Plan B. After inflicting a bleed status effect on Franklin, the hitchhiker is kicked from the party and begins Plan C, marking the camper van for
Drayton Sawyer!
the ever-conflicted Sawyer brother. His job is to spot the marked car, then send the occupants straight to a Texas Chainsaw Massacre. But
I just can't take no pleasure in killing.
his moral dilemma gets the best of him.
You boys don't want to go mess around no old house?
You shouldn't let a bad conscience get in the way of good killing. Seeing as Drayton is
Just a cook.
he tries to dissociate himself from the required food preparation, allowing his younger brothers to source the produce. But even though he says,
Just some things you gotta do. Don't mean you have to like it.
it seems that deep down he does enjoy the butchering. On closer inspection, the hitchhiker's mark was obscured by the camper van door, so Drayton may not have known that these teens were targets. Despite the Sawyer's worst efforts, Kirk manages to find the Sawyer house
Hello?
and walks directly into their trap, coming face to face with Big Bubba Sawyer, better known as Leatherface, because he wears the faces of his victims. Leatherface's job is to hold down the fort, killing every victim that dares to enter the Sawyer's house. Leatherface lures the victim in with animal noises, a tactic that shouldn't work, but he somehow pulls it off. Bubba waits for the perfect moment to strike, then knocks Kirk out with one hammer blow, and then finishes him with a second. I love how Bubba throws everything with the intent to kill, unlike the rest of his family. And now we see the Sawyer's master plan in action. Leatherface kills a victim, a friend tries to find them and is killed, a friend tries to find them and is killed, a friend tries to find them and is killed, a family member tries to avenge them and is blown up with a grenade. It's like a perpetual motion machine of murder. Pam becomes the second victim to fall for the trap, while she's looking for
Kirk?
and gets scared by some of the hitchhiker's spooky skeleton art. At this moment she knew things weren't going very well. Pam took her only escape route, but Leatherface is surprisingly nimble for a man of his size, catching and dragging her, kicking and screaming, back to his lair. And this is where our killing philosophies don't align. Leatherface hangs Pam up on a meat hook while he butchers her boyfriend, just to stick her in the freezer moments later. If you get your victim in this position, you should just kill them. How often do we see victims escape because of this mistake? When Jerry comes to visit, Pam nearly escapes, after he finds Pam's still living corpse. But Leatherface was camping. He pops out and tenderizes Jerry with a single sledgehammer blow. It really is impressive to see how easily Leatherface knocks off these victims, using his strength, an open door, and the element of surprise to rack up the kills. But even though he has the skills, he may not have the mindset for murder. He gets impatient with waiting around not knowing how many victims are left, and decides to venture outside, abandoning the camping tactic that worked so well up until now. I put this down to poor communication. If they had radios, the hitchhiker could have radioed ahead to Drayton, letting him know the targets are on the way. Drayton could have sent the victims to the Sawyer house and radioed ahead to Leatherface, informing him on the targets. Instead, Bubba is left completely in the dark. After hours of searching, Leatherface stumbles into Sally and Franklin, and in his haste he makes a terrible decision, killing the disabled man instead of the spry young woman. Obviously Leatherface should have focused on killing Sally, then came back to finish Franklin. it's not like he's going to get very far. The kill itself was poor. Bubba indulged way too much on the chainsawing, allowing Sally a crucial head start in their chase. Luckily, Sally wasted the head start, running straight to the Sawyer's house, with Leatherface right behind her. Though being encumbered by a chainsaw makes him a little slower, it gives him the ability to clear any obstacles in his way. After bursting through the door, Leatherface comes so close to killing her, but Sally pulls out the gutsiest move I've ever seen from a victim. Diving out of the first floor window, getting up, dusting herself off, and resuming the chase. Knowing he can't kill her single-handedly, Leatherface switches tactics, continuing the chase, but subtly guiding Sally straight into the arms of Drayton Sawyer. Despite getting a bit too handsy, Drayton does a good job at calming Sally down, reassuring her that he's on her side, and offering Sally a ride to the local police station. With all his apprehension on killing,
I just can't take no pleasure in killing.
I wasn't sure what the cook would do next, but Drayton proved what side he's on, busting out the rope.
What are you doing?
Drayton should have held off from getting freaky until the victim was not in arm's length of a knife. But he handled the situation well, bringing a broom to a knife fight and using its range to disarm her. I'm gonna be honest, it got a little sloppy from there, but he eventually managed to knock out and tie up the victim, before bringing the shopping home for dinner, where we finally see the Sawyer family together and learn just how dysfunctional they are. Drayton hates the hitchhiker's artistic ambition because he was almost caught grave robbing,
I told you to stay away from that graveyard!
and is pissed at Leatherface for breaking the door.
You ruined the door!
Leatherface is terrified of his older brother. The hitchhiker resents Drayton for not taking an active role in the killing.
He's just a cook.
And then there's old Grandpa, a man in his mid-hundreds who requires a liquid diet and to be carried from room to room. But he wasn't always like this. He used to be.
Best killer there ever was. I never took more than one lick, they say.
We can see where Leatherface got his inspiration. The gang decide to give Grandpa a chance to relive his glory days. But unfortunately, Father Time hasn't been kind to old Grandpa. Even with assistance from his grandkids, he only manages to graze the victim. In all of the excitement, Sally manages to break free from the killer's grasps. The levels of stupidity on display here is mind-blowing. Firstly, just kill her. They're risking their whole operation just to play dinner host. Leatherface does look dashing in that suit though. If they're gonna hold her captive, keep her tied up to the chair. Or at least close the door to the room that has all the windows, seeing as this literally just fucking happened. The hitchhiker and Leatherface take chase down the longest driveway in the world. When the hitchhiker caught up to Sally, it should have been curtains, but the hitchhiker's knife only managed to inflict some minor bleeding, before Nubbins was vehicular manslaughtered, ending his life with 0 recorded kills. There comes a time in the killing spree where a new opponent emerges. They usually come in the form of law enforcement, but sometimes they come in the form of a god. After the truck driver dispatches poor Nubbins Sawyer, he applies his doctorate in survival against Bubba, pulling Sally to safety and grabbing a spanner, then waiting for the right moment to turn around and launch it at Leatherface, incapacitating the killer. Sally manages to narrowly escape in the back of a stranger's pickup truck, as the truck driver, his work here done, gets away on foot, leaving Leatherface to express his frustration through interpretive dance.
Make sure to like and subscribe, or I'll rip your fucking face off.